We don't often see Holly Gracie, but when he reemerges, he definitely likes to let us know he has some opinions on things. So imagine my surprise when he comes for one Garry Tonon, although he says he's not taking a shot at anybody directly, and says that Garry Tonon's recent loss shows that some people have the wrong perception of what jiu-jitsu is. Now, a lot of people have had feelings about this. People have said, sport jiu-jitsu, street jiu-jitsu, self-defense jiu-jitsu, fighting jiu-jitsu. Everybody has a certain take on this. My take is as follows. Holic, why the fuck did you wait until after I interviewed Garry Tonon to do this? We pre-recorded this interview with Garry Tonon, and I didn't get the opportunity to actually ask him about this question. Oddly, we spoke about something that's very similar to that, and you can see that full interview at our HY.PAGE. That's HY.PAGE/GRAPPLINGHOUR. But for the love of God, Jesus Christ, man, if you're going to show back up, at least give me the time to ask the athletes about this. Garry had a 15-minute diatribe about Ryan Hall in our video. I kid you not, it's about that long. And now I just have to sit here and clip part of an interview that only tangentially makes sense. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, dick move. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Grappling Hour. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another episode of Grappling Hour. As some of you may have heard, we have actually made an adjustment here on the show. So what you're about to see today is a little bit different than maybe what you've come to expect with our show. So here's how it's going to work. We are going to show you 10 minutes of the interviews that I have with Garry Tonon and Alan Sanchez. If you want to see these full interviews right now, all you have to do is go to our HY.PAGE. So go to HY.PAGE/GRAPPLINGHOUR. And if you want to, we'd love it if you become a member of Grappling Hour. You can either get early access or you can get our premium subscription. With early access, you will have 30 days before anybody else gets to see these interviews. And with premium, you're going to get some of the best new content that will only be available behind that channel. That's it. Those are the two options. These are some very fun interviews. Couldn't be more different. Garry definitely talks a lot about what it felt like to not have the best experience at one, but maybe an even worse experience talking about, that one guy that chimed in and the one that we mentioned in the cold open. Very briefly, we didn't actually get to talk all the way through on that one. Nonetheless, Alan Sanchez just won EBI, and I think his story is super awesome. He's a friend of our show, and I was so remarkably happy for the journey that he's had and for what it is that he was able to accomplish. So two very different, very cool experiences. But before we get to those, I actually wanted to show you the types of content that we create that no other show really does. And this is one video that we've held on to now for almost a year. And I think it's really, really funny. We used to do this game. It is called the THINK JIU JITSU Challenge. And you may have seen one that we did with William Tackett, but did you know that we did one with one of his good friends? That's right. We give a card to an athlete, and they have 2 minutes to try and hit that submission on me. And for this particular installment, we do that with the human highlight machine himself, one Kody Steele. Ladies and gents, I am here with one Kody Steele. Kody, it is an honor, a pleasure. It is great to see you. How's everything going?
Things going good.
I noticed you've been doing a lot more striking training. How is that going?
It's going good. Just learning the basics of how to throw a 1-2 and everything, but it's coming along.
What do you like about striking that you can't do in grappling?
The hitting part.
The hitting part does seem fun. Is the training harder in striking, or is it just different?
It's definitely different. I think there's like that learning curve, when you're like a white belt to like kind of like that blue belt, you got to get over that 8-month kind of hump, know. But once you kind of understand the basics and know how to flow and move and do things, it starts to make more sense.
So you do understand there's no striking-based card for the game that we have here, right?
I think so, yeah.
Do I have your actual acknowledgement that you will not hit me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't feel confident about that in the least. Well, are you excited for this?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel confident?
Kinda.
Kinda? Oh, I'll take kinda because that's better for me, I think. Go ahead and take one. Is there one that you wouldn't want?
The baseball bat choke.
Well, that one's out now.
Yeah.
So, good news on that. All right.
That's not bad.
Okay. I don't like the way that sounds, but what we're going to do right now, we're going to go straight to that game and see how Kody does.
Get him, Raph.
Yep, I'll show him. Why are you looking at the clock? It's like you're worried or something. I don't know why.
Told you got the ground and pound card.
For the record, this is not the rules. I would like to point out I can actually sustain that. I'm not getting a second from EPS combat.
30 seconds, Raph. You got it.
Wait, how long?
30. You good.
I'm pretty sure I guaranteed this.
Come on, Raph. Come on. Gonna celebrate. Come on.
What am I supposed to celebrate? I got to slap the shit slipped out of me. And I still can't say it right. Hold on.
Celebrate.
Give me a second. Do I look red?
A little bit.
Hey! I just want to point out, he couldn't do it, but more importantly, he couldn't do it with slaps. It's okay. I see why so many people will take it to overtime. Yay! What's wrong with you? I asked you if you were going to slap me, and you said what?
So,
Do I have your actual acknowledgement that you will not hit me?
yeah.
You said hit.
That's not, don't, cameraman, you can't talk. I did not say hit. Also, let's correct that. So you do understand there's no striking-based card for the game that we have here, right?
I think so, yeah.
At what point did you say I'm going to slap him? What, did you decide that before we did it, or did you decide it once you saw that?
Saw the card, and then I saw how hard you were defending other things, so I just figured, I was like, I could go for the arm bar, but I could also, I could make you give it to me as well. You know, like, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, okay. Was it enjoyable to be able to hit me when I cannot hit you back?
It was nice.
Did you feel, though, like for all the jokes I've done about you, like that you were sticking up for other people on the internet as well?
Yeah, this wasn't for me, it was more for everybody in the community. Laid a couple oses down on the forehead, and yeah, I think everyone's gonna like it.
No, not everybody. There might be myself,
Yeah.
might not be a huge fan of it. I will tell you this. I don't know how I didn't build this better into the plan for myself, because I thought you might hit me, and I said, I don't need a plan for that. And then, as Mike Tyson has said, everybody has a plan until they get hit. And guess what? From that moment, I had no more plan because we weren't jiu-jitsuing anymore. I'm in a round with the combat jiu-jitsu champ. So, cool. Yeah. What'd you learn, Kody?
No one's going to give you anything. You just slap them and then they'll give it to you.
This is not a David Goggins moment. This is not a man, sometimes people just don't give you things. That's when you just slap them. And that's what you do. Stay hard. And then you run out. Listen, I found it very fun in that 2 minutes to do that. I never want to do combat jiu-jitsu. I think now you are my official combat jiu-jitsu debut. Yeah. So thank you. But as a result, if I'm not mistaken, I think this means that I've beaten the combat jiu-jitsu champ. So I think this means I'm entitled to your title now.
You got the dub. I was in the moment, kind of blacked out a bit. I forgot what we were doing, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's arm bar. Graphs on the bottom of me. Nah.
I will say there is a scary moment where you just go, how do people do this for 10 minutes? This doesn't make any sense.
It's not healthy.
I will say though, the one thing that gave me false confidence, and it is a credit to you, is that I got a very quick collar tie on you, and I said, there's no way this ever happens. So that immediately made me skeptical from the get-go, because I was like, okay, so it's not going to require X, Y, or Z. So I already started knocking out cards, but I literally got this and I go, fuck, oh, this is not going to go well. Kody, I just want to say thank you. You were always so kind to us, so wonderful. I wish I was able to joke better, but I think you knew the main defense was to not let me say words by slapping me.
It was the best. It was the best move on my part.
I'm just going to shake your hand. I'm not going to say thank you anymore. That was it. What was that?
My hand's sore.
Well, why do you think it's sore? Good Lord. Hey, my name's Rafa Esparza. I approve this message. I don't approve him. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more show.
My thanks to Kody Steele and videographer one William Tackett for having a very fun segment. Those two gentlemen have the best work ethics I think that I have seen in all of jiu-jitsu, and they couldn't be nicer. Still a little pissed that Kody was slapping me. It was definitely not in any kind of rules or regulations we put, but now going forward, I think we have to, especially if they've won a combat jiu-jitsu thing. Not important. Still love those guys. All right, here's the interview with Garry Tonon. Our guest has been described by one of the most prominent publications as the dangerously horny Garry Tonon. Garry Tonon, welcome back to the show, sir.
Oh man, there's no way I don't even know how to follow that up. That was one of my favorite introductions and segues of who I am in a very short phrase that I've ever heard. So
honestly, the first time I read it, I was really mad that I didn't coin that exact phraseology. So I was really pissed because I go, that's really fucking funny. And I sent a note to the person who wrote it, and they go, thank you so much. And I sent them a note today that says, I will be introducing Garry as that. And they said, oh, please do. Because the thing is, people don't know that I will say this shit to you when we do these interviews. I think they assume that I won't.
I'm 100% going to make t-shirts that say dangerous and horny for sure. And whoever that is getting $0.
You know what? So is the way of jiu-jitsu and MMA. Garry, let's start with this. What inspires you? Like, what, when you are going through your Instagram, makes you go, no, this ass isn't good enough for my fans, but this ass is magnifique. I give to you, my fans and friends.
So I'm going for, typically I try to get as much diversity in there as I can, because it's really not it's not just about like what I find appealing. It's like what I think other people are going to find appealing too. So like, I'm mostly an ass guy, but I know some people are bigger on tits. So occasionally I throw some tits in there. I know like, some guys are going to be super into Hispanic chicks, other ones white chicks, other ones black chicks. So I try to throw as much of it in there. I follow different pages. Like this is something funny that happened to me regarding this. this Korean guy comes to train with us. He was actually super tough, like probably one of the stronger people I've ever trained with in around my weight class. I forget his name, but he came to train with us, and he like brought me to the side of the mat one day, and I thought he was gonna ask like. It made it seem like he like wanted some like real life advice or like some serious help with like his jiu-jitsu or a technique. And he goes, Gary, I have to talk to you. And I was like, what's up, man? And he goes, we really need more Asian chicks on the stories, bro. We really need more Asian. And I was like, you know what? You're right. He's like, for whatever reason, I just didn't have that. So I followed some pages that specifically post like hot Asian chicks. And then I followed some of those hot Asian chicks. So now I have in my feed, they pop up more and I share them more. So man, I really do listen to other people about, what it is that they're interested in seeing. So it's not all just about me, you know?
I'm kind of trying to figure this out. There's a couple questions I wanted to go here because, again, we've never talked about this. It just seems like over the past few years, you've really embraced doing this. So when was the turning point? Because your social media was not this heavy into it. Before it was like, catch me at this event. I've got a seminar. Now I'm like, bro, I don't even know what your seminars and your DVDs are, but I sure as hell know what you were feeling that night.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, I've never been super like great at self-promoting things. Like maybe like seminars and stuff when they're coming up for sure. Like I post about them and stuff. And but other than that, like I've always kind of kept my social media just like more of a fun thing for me. I mean, of course I use it for the power that it brings in terms of sales and stuff like that. But I mean, honestly, I think this stuff helps too, because I've never really been one to post much on my stories about like what's going on in my actual life. Like for whatever reason, like I don't very often capture like snapshots of whatever it is that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Like I also kind of feel like similar to probably what you feel when you listen to some of these grappling interviews that people give, where it's like, man, like what I'm doing in my everyday life on a regular basis is like kind of pretty much what anybody else is putting out there. It's like, oh wow, it's Gary fucking training again. So I don't really I don't feel as though that in any way differentiates from like whatever else is out there in the sport. So I don't know, man. Like I fucking love hot chicks and asses, and like I know that my audience is 95% male. And at some point, I started looking around at social media, and I started seeing like, there's just pages literally dedicated to, chicks' asses or tits or whatever, or hot chicks. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, well, I'm obviously not going to dedicate my entire page to that, but hell, I'll fill up my fucking stories with it. Why not? You know what I mean? Like it's something that like anybody that's a fan of mine that's male is probably going to like. So I'll just add it to the mix. And then when I throw in a seminar post or whatever the hell else it is that I'm doing, they'll probably be more likely to check my stories because they're looking for hot chicks.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. Nobody is going backwards to go see when your seminar is, when you've got all that goes up.
They just skip right past it. They click past that one.
Oh, that's it. That's the one. I was thinking about that all day. Oh, thanks, Gary. Because you know what it is I started thinking, I said, you hear all of these stories and a lot of the guys who make fun of these women who do OnlyFans. The thing is, you're not creating the content. You're just kind of a curator. So I was like, dude, he can't even market this. Like you would turn into like a terrible pimp if you were trying to OnlyFans and it'd be like, she's a star. I know what I'm going to do with this one. I'm like, you know what? I think that's where it ends. So I just didn't see how you could ever monetize that sort of a thing. But I did see just within the past few years, I go, there isn't a day that you go by where you don't put something up. And I know that I'm committed to trying to put up a meme every day or some kind of joke. You seem to take that as your stead as you go, oh, nope, this is my community service. This is what I give back.
I've never really been big on trying to be like known for something specific. That's why I always change up the hairstyles and the facial hair and all that kind of stuff. I kind of like to change things up often. but I do know that it's like a part of creating like a persona and like something that people are interested in seeing. So I kind of like, like I said, like I was never one to really post a lot of Instagram stories. It just wasn't really my thing. So I kind of figured like, hey man, here's a niche that I could fill that's going to be a little different than what most of the people in my field are going to be doing. So mostly it's for fun more than
Yeah.
anything else, but also kind of feel like it kind of goes along with the persona that I've created, the whole, your mom's favorite grappler thing and, the Cash Chicks Championship brand that I started. So, yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I'm having fun out there more than anything else. I think people, because people will ask me kind of similar to what you were wondering, oh man, like, do people pay you to like post like their ass photos like on your story? I was like, not really. Like, I mean, there's definitely girls that'll DM me and be like, hey, could you post this photo? I just like, and sometimes I listen and sometimes I don't. Most of the time, I kind of do my own thing. Basically, if I haven't posted the girl in a while, I might do it. But if I just posted some of their content and they're like, oh, well, I just posted this thing, I usually just ignore their DM because like that's not what this is about. Like this isn't about me trying to make you money. Like this is just fucking fun for me. So like, I'm not trying to promote all of your fucking social. It might be a nice byproduct of what I'm doing, but like that's not what this is about. And if that is what it's about, then yeah, how about you offer me some fucking money if you want me to post every fucking ass photo that you post on Instagram,
There's something great about you saying like, no, don't ruin my artistic vision on this. I have artistic integrity. I will not just post your ass photo for, you thought that you could just buy my page, that you could do this? No. There is a real sensitivity to the artistic expression of the people I put on this page. Well, good for you, Garry.
Absolutely.
I want to point this out to you right now, and people don't know how this works, but yeah, now that we're switching over, we do a thing where even though people can't see the full interview, they are given the first 10 minutes for free. So unfortunately, if you're watching now and you were expecting me to ask about Ryan Hall, you've run out of time. So womp womp. Anyway, hey, and don't you go anywhere. We're going to be right back with some more Grappling Hour in just a second. Don't go anywhere. Why would you? That's right. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Garry Tonon. Yeah, I know there's a lot about his Instagram, but to be honest, it's probably some of the more prominent things that he's doing, period. I usually know more about what he's looking at on his Instagram than I do about his jiu-jitsu. And I think that's kind of problematic. Anyway, the full interview can be seen at HY.PAGE /GRAPPLINGHOUR. And I got to tell you, that whole interview really shows how Garry felt about getting his first loss, how he handled it, what he's looking to do in his match with a Rotolo brother, which oddly is a very strange story. So don't miss those things. Go check out that interview. And remember, if you want to be the first to see it, go to HY.PAGE /GRAPPLINGHOUR, become a member, and that's it. Without any further ado, let's get to that interview with our good friend Alan Sanchez about his big win at EBI. The champ is here. Our good friend, ours and yours, one Alan Sanchez. Alan, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. Am I supposed to refer to you as Mr. Champ? Is it Mr. EBI now? Is it changed any of your success? Has it gone to the head?
Champ is fine.
Okay. Yes. Mr. Champ, if you would. What did it feel like to win this tournament, especially with the fact that it had been gone for so long?
Well, obviously it felt awesome. It felt really good. Yeah, I was gone for like a long time. It's one of my buddies actually was like, it's kind of like EBI took a break and was like, yo man, just go get good, get your skills up, and then we'll come back when you're ready to win it. But yeah, it felt good because like it was one of those things where when I first started training was like when EBI first came out, so I kind of right away like that was like a goal, and when I set the goal, it was like kind of delusional and like kind of like far out there, but yeah, to like actually make it a reality felt amazing.
Did you ever think that you would not get a chance to win EBI because they got so much into the combat jiu-jitsu? There were a lot of my friends who were saying, do you think it's going to come back? And I always tell people, these things come in waves. You kind of grow fonder of the things that you don't see all the times. But we were getting into the 3-4 year region of not seeing an EBI classic tournament. And what people don't realize is sometimes a whole new era of grappler exists. So like, you know, we got used to Gordon and Garry running it, and then we started to see other people starting to take that torch, and then they said no more. Were you nervous that as you were peaking as an athlete, it might not be there?
I mean, not really, because I guess like with EBI a little bit. Just because, yeah, I think the last one was like 2017 or 2018, which is like 4 or 5 years um, of a break of like not knowing whether it's coming back. But I kind of, it seemed almost like CJJ World was kind of like the new EBI. And so even though I didn't have as much interest in combat jiu-jitsu as I did with like just pure grappling, uh, I'll kind of immediately like try to just set my sights on that. Like, well, I guess this is the new EBI, even though it's a different name. But I definitely prefer to not get smacked. So when I heard EBI was coming back, I was stoked. And when I heard it was 170, I was beyond stoked.
I laughed a lot because, Keith ended up winning and becoming a combat jiu-jitsu champion. Yeah. And famously on this show, he years ago was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think you'll see me there. And I'm like, and then next thing you know, I'm interviewing that champ. And I'm like, I have to refer to you as a combat jiu-jitsu champion. It's wild to me. And, I'm sure you were thinking that same trajectory, which is these are too good of opportunities. You'll do it if you have to, because it has become the new thing. It's just for me, I knew there was a new group of guys who, if just given the opportunity to do jiu-jitsu, could show their mastery of the sport. And for you, not only have you been killing it with your team, but like these grueling sessions that you are doing right now with the room that you're in, I know have upgraded your talent. So if there is a time for you to be an EBI, at least in my humble opinion, I knew right now you would have to be hitting a kind of peak. Do you feel like you're at an athletic peak, or do you still feel that that's coming a little bit further down the line?
I mean, I think I'm getting into a good groove. I think there's definitely, it kind of felt like almost like just the beginning, because I got my black belt and I feel like I didn't hit the ground running the way I thought I would. I didn't like just win everything right off the bat, and I had to take like a bunch of losses and reflect and learn from them. And I think this year was kind of the first time I feel like I got into like a good mindset where at the black belt level, like I felt more comfortable. So I think I'm just barely getting into a good groove to like really be at the highest level. So yeah, I feel like I'm approaching that peak, but I definitely still feel like there's plenty more to come.
What can you tell me is the biggest adjustment that you've seen in terms of competing from where you were now at the black belt level? Because with some of those harder rounds or those harder experiences comes some kind of knowledge. So what would you say were some of the things that you experienced just from your own journey on that?
Yeah, I think I had to learn to just kind of, I guess, just be more in the moment, because that's kind of all competing really is. It's like, it's like a certain date and you can be like real nervous in anticipation and thinking about it a lot. But, say if it's like a week from now, it's like you can't overthink it, because I still got to deal with today, tomorrow, and all that. And so I guess that's kind of been the biggest adjustment, because I feel like I've always been good in the training room, and it was just being able to kind of translate that into the match. And I think a big thing too, reflecting on like my losses, was making sure I'm implementing my own game, and taking the match where I want to take it, and not be overwhelmed with all the possibilities, but just kind of think about like what are the areas I like to be in, where's the guard I want to play, where's the top game I want to approach, and making sure I'm taking the match in that direction, I think was kind of the big takeaways for me.
And when did you find that? Because I've talked with a number of athletes that sometimes they found it mid-competition. And then I've talked with athletes that they've had to take the loss, and then maybe it didn't hit until 2 weeks after that big loss, or maybe it hit during a training session when they were in a really good room. You have all of these different types of experiences. I just didn't know when that would have hit? Is there a particular kind of moment that you can reflect to when you think, oh, no, it was starting to avail itself here?
Yeah, I think so. Like last year, November I did East Coast Trials. December I did Emerald City, and I did decent in both of them. I did like way better than I was kind of expecting myself to at the East Coast Trials. And then I did good at the Emerald City. I lost in the semis, but after that, I remember just like feeling like frustrated with the losses because even though like I had good performances, like I wanted to win the tournament, I didn't just want to do good, and so I journal a lot and I keep a lot of notebooks, and I started looking back on like my the notes I was actually taking back in like 2019, which is in that year I took a lot of losses in the first half, and then the last half I ended up like winning finishers, and I won Nogi Worlds, and I was just looking at the notes that I had there, and a lot of it was just basically me just kind of writing stuff down, like, I might be losing right now, but I know it's all going to turn around, and just keep trusting the process, and kind of looking at the notes of the mindset I was like kind of having then, because I was almost in a similar boat where I was taking losses, but wanted to keep my head on straight for the upcoming stuff, and knowing that like every day is a new day. So yeah, I guess that, and I was probably doing that in like January this year, was I was just like looking back on them and getting ready for the Tempe Q, which was in February, and I think that kind of helped put me in a good mindset to just like trust the process and learn from them, learn from all the losses.
When did you start journaling? Because this is huge to me. Now you're speaking my nerd language. Like, you have glasses, I have glasses. I feel like we can connect on this. To me, this is my jam. This is the stuff that I get hyped about, because I tell people, and this is not your case, your jiu-jitsu is quite good, but I tell people, like, the thing that makes me at least comparable in rooms that I have no business being in is that while maybe I'm not the best student in the world, I know how to maximize my small talents and make them work at certain times. And a lot of that comes from a scientific study, or like, oh, hey, I'm going to try this kind of a game, or I'm going to implement this. And I've done it. I tried to do it at the beginning, but I didn't know shit. Now, as I'm getting older, I've found things that work for me, and now that I kind of hand to my team. When did you start doing this, and when did it start kind of like paying off? Because again, to me, it's taken years for me to kind of go like, here we go. But I have journals where I look at back from 2012 when I was starting to do it, and it's like, he passed my guard 3 times, and it's like the worst diary I think I've ever read in my life when I look back at it.
Yeah. Well, I've always been drawing, so I've always liked to keep a sketchbook, like pretty much since like high school times. And in there, I used to try to just kind of strictly have like arts and sketches, and then I started writing in them. And then I started buying like little notebooks that were like specific to just kind of writing little things in there. And that, I guess that started pretty close to the time I started doing jiu-jitsu.
Hey, and don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with more Grappling Hour. All right, well, that will do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. I hope that you guys have enjoyed those previews. It's really important to me that even though we are moving to a membership-based service here, that we do give some sort of free content. A lot of you still support us. You're really nice. You send me great messages. When we put up that we were going to start doing a membership-based service, so many of you were so positive and gave me great encouragement and feedback. And I just try not to turn my back on those people who have been so kind to us. So I hope that you'll become members. I hope that you enjoy these interviews. And I hope that you become a part of our community that suggests topics and even throws questions at me that I can ask in the future. If you want to know how you can do that, just go to, again, HY.PAGE/GRAPPLINGHOUR. So that's going to do it for today. We will see you guys back on the mats. And just to remind you guys, if you want to hear the audio versions of our past catalog, you can go check us out on Spotify at, you guessed it, Grappling Hour. We try to make things pretty easy for you guys. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. My name's Rafa Sparza. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.
Perfect.